sitting there as a child in front of me as a doctor telling my parents that they should make plans for my funeral.
You've become recently a mental health mentor.
There's no greater service than the service to others. I've known a few people that just wanted to take their life. To raise them up from that dark moment, I think is worth everything.
Welcome to Haute Conversations, where the worlds of entrepreneurship, introspection, and culture converge. Created and produced by the innovative Yaga and Patrick at Unik Productions, this season promises to delve deeper into the stories of visionaries and trailblazers. Hosted by Paulina Miel, guiding us through engaging dialogues that spark inspiration and foster creativity, this season is filled with thought-provoking conversations and insights that challenge the norm and celebrate the art of innovation.
I'm not suffering. It's my choice to choose that I'm suffering. I started spending more and more time in the wheelchair. I didn't accept it, and I wouldn't accept it.
How did you get out of the wheelchair?
The lesson for me that I'll never forget to this day, that there is always
Hello, fabulous viewers and listeners. Welcome to another episode of Haute Conversations. I'm your host, Paulina Miel. Today, we have a very special guest, and we focused on a very special topic, and that's mental health. My guest, Walk with Warren Falkenstein, also known as, take it away,
Warrior Warren.
Yes! Welcome to the show, Warren.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. All right. You've become recently a mental health mentor. Talk to me about that.
As a public speaker and a mental health advocate, I feel it's very important to provide people with the tools, whatever it is that they're going through in life, to have the tools in their back pocket so that they can bounce back as quickly as possible, especially nowadays.
What's given you this kind of strength to talk to people about, A, what you have gone through yourself, which we will cover shortly, but also to kind of spread the word and, charm everyone with your charm, because you are very charming. And I feel like you can make anyone smile, even the most miserable people out there. So take me back to the beginning and let me know what your journey was like as a kid, all the challenges you have gone through, and where you have come to now.
I feel like there was a couple questions there.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to know each other, so Go ahead. Just tell me the full story.
I'd be happy to share. There are maybe 3 things that are keeping me on this journey right now.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, I think it's giving me purpose. It gives me purpose to see other people thriving. It gives me purpose to see the happiness that can come from somebody that is suffering and to witness another person transform in front of my eyes from fear to love. And I think the emotions that are felt from both myself and the person that I'm helping to raise up from that funk or they're going through or that dark spot in their life or that dark moment, to raise them up from that dark moment, I think is worth everything.
Where do you get that energy from? Because even me, we all have bad days, right? And we just can't get out of this funk. But where do you get that energy to help other people?
I think it's beyond purpose. It says we're here in this world to serve others. And there's a quote from The Peaceful Warrior that there is one of my favorite movies and books. And it says, there's no greater service than the service to others. And at the end of the day, we all know it's how you make other people feel, but we all are in this together and we all have to get through this, whatever it is that we're going through. And right now, past couple years, presently, we have all experienced the unexpected.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, we've all been locked, even during COVID, right? We're all stuck with ourselves, by ourselves, for the most part. So a lot of people have gone through a lot of, emotional challenges, depression, suicide rates are through the roof. So I feel like the fact that you're talking to everyone and trying to uplift everyone is such an amazing experience, an amazing gift to everybody, just because of the kind of person that you are and the challenges that you faced.
The story of my life is about unexpected. I can't say that I can relate to everybody or I've gone through everything, but I have had a taste of almost everything in a sense that the emotional pain, the physical pain, the mental pain, the societal pain, the spiritual pain, all of that. For some reason, I get to go through that presently and in the past. but I'm able to somehow, even showing up today was hard. My body did not want to show up today. It did
So
not want to
thank you
get out
so
of
much
bed.
for being here. Thank you for making it.
you.
Warrior Warren, come on.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And that was the second thing, is that I noticed when I was younger, the way that we show up inspires other people even when they're not paying attention. Like, even if we're not paying attention to it, we inspire people by our actions, by our energy, by the way that we are, without even looking for that. And when I started to notice that as a child in a wheelchair, training with a kung fu master, learning how to do push-ups and extend my pain tolerance at that level, when I'm already going through what somebody would think of as hell, but I'm showing up at school, hey guys, I did I did 100 sit-ups and 50 push-ups today. Like, they're like, wow. Because I wasn't looking for that, but that's one of the reasons, if I think about it from your first question, is going back to that moment. That's what will keep me going, is like, okay, you can inspire someone to thrive in their own lives by your own actions, by taking care of what it is that overcoming your own limitations.
So how did you end up in the wheelchair to begin with? And thankfully, you're no longer in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. So you've definitely pushed the boundaries. I don't know. It's like the strength you have is absolutely incredible. So how did you end up in the wheelchair? And then how did you get out of the wheelchair?
I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
Thank God. I know that my belief system, there is a higher power that helps all of us to get through what we're going through. No matter how bad it is, there is always, I wouldn't even call it hope, but it's more like holding on to that essence within us that helps us to keep going. There's something in us that helps us. And once we learn how to tap into that, that is going to help us to push through that challenge. When I was born fine. There was nothing. There was normal baby, healthy. Everything was great. And then over time, things started to evolve, and doctors didn't know what was going on.
At what age was this?
I was young, maybe a toddler, around maybe 18 months or a little bit older. But gradually over time, things started getting worse, and it started getting really scary. And from what I remember as a child, the moments of pain and worry and fear that were not just, in my heart, in my mind, they were in my environment. And you don't know what to do, right? And
Well, of course, you're just a child. What do you know, right? Except now you're experiencing pain and you don't know where it's coming from.
Or you do. It depends, right?
Okay.
So, you can go to the gym and then you know why you're in pain, right?
Yes.
Yes, you can overdo it or not sleep for a week, or sometimes we know when we self-sabotage.
Yeah, of course.
In my case, there was unknown, and majority of my life has been undiagnosed. So over time, gradually, my body started to change, and the doctors just did what they did and knew what they knew at the time. So eventually I started spending more and more time in the wheelchair. It was difficult to walk as much and farther for distance. Nowadays I'll use it, like at an airport, amusement parks, to get my friends through the exits.
Look at you. The perks of being your friend. I'm your friend starting today.
Yeah. We use the Crutches card now.
Perfect.
So growing up, it was very difficult. I spent most of my high school life using that chair. I was half the size I was. Honestly, I did not like being pushed around. And nobody does, right?
Okay.
Like metaphorically or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And it was tough because I was different. I'm sure those moments when a child wants to do something that they can't. Maybe I wanted to play basketball, maybe I wanted to go skating or whatever it was, right? So there was a lot of depression kind of feelings, right?
Yeah,
there was a lot of sadness.
At a young age too. How old were you at this time?
From early age until maybe 2001 or so, or even longer.
So you were dealing with a lot of depression.
Yes.
And all these kind of unknown feelings.
Yes.
Right? That you've never experienced before. How did you deal with that at the time?
And it was also the amount of, a normal kid would go to school, right? They'll have recess, go to gym class, come home, do this. Me, there was a lot of doctor's appointments. There was a lot of situations, so to speak. And some of them were not pleasant. Some of them were very fearful. And I remember sitting, which I mentioned a few times now, which I'm starting to open up more about, is that I'm sitting there as a child in front of me as a doctor telling my parents that they should make plans for my funeral in front of me. And I think at that moment, it's not that I didn't want to believe him, but I remember that moment because an emotional moment is going to stay with you.
Yeah.
right? So those emotional moments, they would carry on and you remember them. Everything else in our life is going to stay in our subconscious mind. And whether we know it or not, our subconscious mind is trying to protect us from those things happening again. And even if we don't remember that, there are techniques to bring up those memories.
Yeah.
Not necessarily we always need to or want to, but that moment sitting there in front of that doctor, I didn't accept it. And I wouldn't accept it. I had accepted who I was beginning the journey of accepting who I am, but I wouldn't accept his words. And my empathy and my pain in my heart was more for the people around me, the family and all that. Like, why would you tell them
Oh, wow.
that?
You didn't care about yourself. You cared about everyone else around you.
Because I didn't
the way
believe
that
him.
made them feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way that made them feel, but also I didn't believe him. And I think that was a big lesson to know that we believe the reality that we're in. We believe what we believe is what we become. In my mind, I'm like, no, I got more stuff to do in this world. I have things to do. I'm here. There's a purpose for my being here. Like, I don't believe that this is it. You know, I was brought up with spirituality. I was brought up with all of these different mindfulness techniques and all of these things that there has to be a bigger picture and to find the purpose of why we're here.
Yeah.
So what happened was I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I finished high school. And
By the way, and sorry to interrupt you, how was your school experience with all these things happening? Because I know, kids can be absolutely cruel. So as far as your friends and your school dynamic, like how did that affect you and what kind of experiences have you gone through while in school dealing with what you were dealing with?
it wasn't easy. There were moments where I remember going to school with bandaged hands. I had to show up, I had a little walking stick. I had the wheelchair.
Yeah.
There were moments of bullying. There were a few people that were mean, and again, those emotional moments will stay with you forever. Looking back at it, now that I understand more about how people behave and, the psychology of all of it, and I know that hurt people.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't take it as personally as I did. It was tough. On the other hand, if it wasn't for my friends, even now, that treated me like everybody else and saw me for who I was and took that wheelchair and just ran with it until the wheels will shake, right? Or those kind of moments like, or we would just have fun, skipping class sometimes,
Just doing the regular things,
That gave me, that was important.
Well, it's such a blessing to have people like that around you. So you're very lucky in that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also because of who I was, who I chose to be. I am because I choose to be. That was one of my sayings all the time is I am who I choose to be. And I chose to be that person. When I remember going to high school for the first time and I was nervous and I realized, I'm like, hold on a second. Instead of being upset like I was in previous years of going to school and crying and all that, sensitive and I'm different and, oh my God, they're going to pick on me again or I'm going to be by myself. I realized everybody else is nervous too.
Yeah, of course.
So
we all have the same feelings. Like that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that. We all carry the same, not necessarily body pain, but we all carry, mental issues, depression, and all kinds of different things.
Right.
So we're all very much the same.
And that helped. When you realize that we're all the same, we're all going through something, then it alleviates it.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like a lot of people now, more so than ever, are communicating that. In the past, everyone keeps it to themselves. I think now everyone's a little bit more open.
Yeah.
It's sharing their experiences. That's why you're here, sharing your experience. I really, really appreciate it. So high school, you had a group of friends. You moved past high school. At what point did you start walking? Like you went from a wheelchair. Did they tell you like you're full on wheelchair bound? You're never going to walk again. Chances are very slim.
It depends on the doctor.
And
their perception. And the diagnosis or whatever diagnosis. I think it's important that we learn. One of the biggest things that I have learned over time is that no matter what a diagnosis or predicament or whatever it is that somebody tells you it is, it doesn't necessarily mean it is. There's always a second opinion. There's always something else out there. There's always something that can change about how it is you are. There's so many stories about how people are told they can't do this, they can't do that, and then they can.
Oh, yeah.
It's important that I always mention when I'm giving a talk or speaking to others, it depends also on the circumstance and your perception. And I can want to be able to walk fully, properly all over again, But I have to be okay with both results. I have to be okay with both outcomes. Sometimes we want something in our life to change within ourselves or something that we're not able to do. Let's say somebody is in a wheelchair and there's no way that they can walk again, but they really, really want to. And my advice for that would be that it may not be the way that you want to walk, but they have these robotic legs, for example. now.
Yes, I've seen that. It's incredible.
They bring you up.
Yeah.
Right? So you're walking, it may not be the way that you want it to be, but you're doing it.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And to be okay with that. So to be okay with two pathways, to be okay and accept two outcomes of it may not be exactly the way that you want that miracle to happen, but miracles happen, right? Maybe it's just going to be a little bit different, right? So having that environment, somebody that's going through a disability, someone that's going through a hard time or an illness or whatever it is that they're going through, their environment is going to affect them. And I'm grateful that because of my care for my friends, it came back to me, right? So that's how come my environment was like that. My environment was in that way, so not just seeing me for who I am, but also understanding that it's like, yeah, we're doing this together, right? I may be a little bit different, but over time, I started to learn how to accept it more and more, as opposed to somebody, a friend of mine that I do know that having the victim mentality, environments, pity, I don't want a pity party.
It's
right?
so hard to get out of that. Like, honestly, you're so beyond inspirational because it is so, even for me, like I said, like we all have days and there's times where you just get into that funk and it's so hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
But it's like you just need to snap out of it and, forge through and forge forward. So with your friend, going back to your friend, so the victim mentality, have they been able to move on from it, or how do they deal with it?
What happens is it gets in your mind. And your mind and your body work together. And if you're feeling bad and sad and depressed and hating yourself and all that stuff, it starts to affect your body. That's the thing, is if someone is pushing me in a wheelchair and they're rushing around and having fun and dancing and playing music and laughing, as opposed to in a hospital setting, when it's like, you're sick, you're here.
Yeah.
Right? This is what we're doing. This is the environment. This is why you're here. I'm here to help you because you need help. Right? Versus the empowerment and all that stuff. So, I've known a few people that just they just wanted to take their life. So our environment affects both of our mind and our body, right? And, Tony Robbins always talks about how you feeling down, you got to move. We got to move our body. We got to dance or jump or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So it affects, but our environment does too, right? So it's important. They always say you can pick your friends, but you can't always. But there has to be ways that we can always bounce back, right? And bring ourselves back up, especially when we're in a funk.
Okay.
Right?
So is Tony Robbins someone that you kind of look up to? Is that who has helped you tremendously?
He's somebody that I look up to. And God willing, one day my dream is to speak on stage with him, have a conversation with him.
Put it out there. You're putting it out there. You're putting it out into the ether.
I am. It would be one of my dreams to have, I know that he has such an emotional side of him and respect for people and he's said it many times, of people that do have disabilities or that are still showing up in life and are still pushing through, no matter how hard it is. There's a lot that goes on inside people's minds that we don't show, right? I can say that for myself too. I'm showing up at events and everything doesn't necessarily mean everyone goes through that, right? Yeah. You're smiling on the outside, something else is going on the inside, right?
Yeah. So for you, how did you end up from a wheelchair to now using crutches? So what is it, some sort of empowerment that did it for you? Was it, because you talk about mind and the power of over your body. So how did that happen?
So I was using a little walking stick.
Yeah.
With the wheelchair. Majority of my life was with that chair, right? And it was frustrating at times because you're dependent on other people.
Yeah.
So what happened was I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And so I moved back here to Toronto and I happened to be at an event and there was an older man that really wanted to help. And he was talking to my parents and he's like, come to my studio. Like, what is this? Like, I don't know him. And we started working together. And I started going to the gym also every day, right? Because I felt like I can create a new life since I came back here and let's see what I can do. How strong can I get? I wanted to be independent and I wanted to be able to build myself up. I wanted to be able to be strong enough to manage on my own. When I worked with him, it's sort of based on the Alexander technique, which helps actors and actresses also with their posture and everything. And I was literally, nobody recognizes me before and after.
Really? And it's all because of this man.
Yes, that was part of it. And he's the one that got me onto the crutches. And I was so stubborn. We argued so much, and there was a language barrier.
Oh, come
and
on.
I was just like, well, you're going to take my cane away? And it was like this. I was twisted. I was little.
Yeah.
I was 19. I looked like I was 11. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
And he started working on the posture. He started helping me out. And then I started going to the gym more and building up the muscles. Eventually, we got onto the crutches. And of course, I'm stubborn because it's change. And we avoid change because we're trying to protect ourselves. We don't know what that's going to be like.
Yeah, of course.
And we're comfortable in our situations, right?
And you also don't want failure at the same time. Like, let me try the crutches. I'm like, no, I can't do it. You're afraid of that as well, right? It's a fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you faced that head on.
Yeah.
Because now you're walking with crutches.
I am.
You were stubborn. It's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
We had to be stubborn. It's a defense mechanism also. So in that case, take my cane away from me. He took it away. Then he started working on the posture. I started growing up. And I started evolving fast. And eventually the crutches grew and grew and grew, right? Until the height that they're on right now. Started growing facial hair, and like everything just started evolving and changing.
Yeah.
The biggest lesson from all of that was the fact that I was so mad and upset. It was like the worst thing ever to move back to Toronto.
Really?
Because I was happy in LA. I had my friends, I had all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that was the lesson for me that I'll never forget to this day, that there is always a bigger picture at play. There is always something else beyond what you think is happening in front of you that could be so bad you're going through in a personal life. And then if I didn't move back, I wouldn't have met him, or I wouldn't have met the people that I've met and inspired the people that I did.
Yeah.
And hear stories about how someone nearly wanted to jump, but they're watching this video or the news report or whatever it was, news interview, and all of a sudden their life has changed. I thought it was the worst possible thing. And if I connect the dots going backwards, which I always encourage everyone to do, is connect the dots. Where are you today because of whatever happened?
Oh, yeah. I think everything happens for a reason, for sure. Let me ask you about each one of the roles that you have taken part of and you have become. So Warrior Warren, what do you do with Warrior Warren? What is Walk with Warren?
My brand Walk with Warren represents walking side by side. And that not just that we're all in this together, also the fact that I'm walking and when you're walking side by side with somebody, it feels better, as opposed to, I don't want people to walk behind me, right? There's a poem that I admire that I heard once, don't walk behind me, don't walk in front of me, and just walk beside me,
walk
right?
With me,
and walk with me. And so Walk with Warren became that brand. And it feels good. When I started branding it that way, knowing that my purpose is we're all in this together. And, I feel your pain, you can feel mine, but whatever you're going through, I'll do my best to help you. But if I can't, then somebody else can, right? And the warrior aspect came from understanding that I'm not suffering. It's my choice to choose that I'm suffering. I'm sitting here right now, there's pain like going all the way down here. And it's like, we can choose to be happy within our pain. And there's a way to do that. I would say it's more of a peaceful warrior approach, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a Viking.
Yeah. Well, you could be. I feel like you could be anything. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Tell me about trauma-aware transformational coach and what that role is to you.
It's more like responsibility.
Okay.
Sort of like Spider-Man, that quote, with great power comes great responsibility. So the more that I learn different techniques that help me, that I can help other people with, I think is a gift.
What techniques in particular?
During a discovery call that I would take somebody through, basically goes within the subconscious mind. And we go deep into that subconscious mind. And there's so much in there that is holding us back from who we're meant to be. And it's also responsible for the fear that we're going through, the worry that's holding us back, that's getting in our own way, to break free of that. And from that technique and all the mindfulness technique that I do, from the breathing exercises that can calm the vagus nerve right away, right? Just the little things here and there is like, what do you need to use at which time? Because you'll know, the more that you practice, the more that I meditate on a daily basis.
Yeah, see, I was going to ask you if you meditate, if that's your spiritual practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do meditate now more than ever meditated before.
And has that helped you a lot?
It helps me tremendously. from my perspective, I feel that meditation is a form of practice that will help you to raise your vibrations, raise your energy level, but it will help to get your body to a place of coherence, in a place of calmness. And we need to be calm in order to deal with whatever.
Yeah.
And the more calm we are, the more proactive we can deal with things, we can think straighter, and our body begins to heal. In a way that, healing is also another concept. It's like how we perceive what healing is. But the more that we calm ourselves so we're not in a constant state of fight or flight, which our body is always in, not always, but, it calms it, right? And then you feel good. It's really funny. A few weeks ago, I was meditating for maybe an hour and a half, which I strive to do. And I must have been listening to some binaural beats or whatever they're called as well. And whatever I did, about 4 or 5 people asked me if I was high afterwards.
Oh, really?
And even on the phone, like, Warren's high. I'm like, I'm not. I just meditated. Like, for real? I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Meditation is super powerful. Like, I have friends that have gone on their journeys this past year and, they continue their journey. They've even gone to places where they meditate, quietly for 10 days. There's a shutdown of the chaos. There's no phones, there's no nothing. And then you're one with yourself, again, reflecting internally. So yeah, I understand the practice. I haven't done it myself, but now that I'm talking to you, like, I feel like you're giving me so much advice.
I feel that even listening to music in your car, loud, is a form of meditation, if it's going to make you feel good. And I think that's the goal. You find what works for you. Sometimes people say, I can't meditate because of my thoughts. Yes, you can. Thoughts are like you're looking out the window and the cars are passing by you. Those are your thoughts. Like, observe them. Don't fight them. Just be them. I recommend it because it calms you, right? And sets you up for the day. And you never know what's going to happen every day, right?
No, you really don't. So you have to live like it's your last day. I feel like everyone should take that advice and live like it's your last day, because you really never know.
I have to I do remind myself, and I remind others, if today was your last day, would you behave that way? Would you treat another person in that way if they won't be here tomorrow? Without kindness, without, love or compassion, we're all going through stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And at the end of the day, then we regret it.
Okay, I have to ask because I have no idea what this role is. What is an eclectic healer? And that's something you are.
For me, it's a combination of different healing modalities that are used for different situations. Basically, I don't know what a person needs, but sometimes maybe Reiki energy healing would work, or maybe it's just meditation, or maybe it's sound healing, or maybe it's psychotherapy. Whatever it is, all these modalities that I have experienced and tried throughout my life, I've strived to learn them myself so I can help other people with the same thing. Whether it's just hands-on techniques or whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily mean to be one thing. It's a combination of all the different things that have helped myself. But when I'm working with somebody, if I'm sitting here, I don't know what they need. So I need to ask.
So do you do like one-on-one treatments?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be remotely or one-on-one, but it would be, again, I don't know what the person needs. So I need to remove myself from the equation and just be like, okay, what tools do they need? So whatever starts coming through my intuition, out of my mind, or when I pray, I say, what does this person need? And it's not just with the healing, it's with everything. And I feel that's important, that we need that higher power. We need that strength within us to guide us. Every morning I have non-negotiables, and that's what set me up for the day. And one of them is prayer. And whatever you believe in, whether it's God or the universe or yourself, your inner power, whatever it is, just ask, what do I need to do today? Who do I need to see? Who do I need to help? We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We have all of our goals. I have my never-ending to-do list, right? That can be overwhelming. But, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I wake up in the morning, I'm still here. So what do I need to do? Why am I still here? Right? There has to be a reason. And to try to align ourselves with that.
What is a quantum time releaser?
There's a theory that there are different timelines that we've gone through in our lifetime. Some of them we remember, some of them we don't remember. And some of them are stored within our subconscious mind. And in order for us to heal from those traumas that have happened in the past that we may or may not even remember, or even be able to recall why they're affecting us of who we are today because of something.
So, you definitely have to unlock that within yourself. Right. I mean, meditation is a great practice to unlock that.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a girlfriend recently who remembered her trauma. So it's, definitely a first step into healing.
And she feels better now.
Oh yeah, of course. Because you face it. You don't recall it because it's so hidden within yourself. But once you unlock it, it just comes pouring out.
And then she feels like a different person.
Oh yeah, a completely different person.
And everyone starts to notice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, is that there are things that it helps to tap into those moments in the past. Could be a past life even.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get there and once you start realizing, and then you start releasing those emotions that came with that story. So whatever happened in that episode, in that movie from the past, that even we somehow our subconscious mind takes us there. So during the process of this QTR, it takes you back there or it takes you forward. Like we don't know where it's going to take the person, but you're going to experience something, right? And those emotions that are there are the ones that need to be released. Because right now, they're causing something, whether it's a positive or a negative impact in your life, right? And it could be because, you something is not happening. Sometimes you're afraid of something simple. Like I have this thing about sitting in a restaurant. My back cannot be towards where the food comes out. I need to see where the food is coming to me, right? Maybe it could have been a past life thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just one of the many techniques that help.
Is that something that you implement in your practice when you're one-on-one with someone?
After a discovery call, if that is something that I feel would help, then yes. But there's so many different ways and methods and tools that are used. I was certified in that technique because it was going to be helpful and it's helped me.
Yeah.
And after sitting with someone, going one-on-one and learning like, okay, this is helping. I prefer to help people with things that have helped me. Right? If I've gone through it, if I've tried something, I'm not going to recommend, a prescription to someone that's, I'm not a doctor, but you know what I mean? Like take this supplement. I heard it's good. No, I would take it, for example, curcumin, right? So I take a lot of curcumin because it helps with pain and inflammation, right? I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't take it, right? But again, everyone's different. Everyone's gone through their own trauma. Everyone's gone through their own pains, and not what's the expression? One shoe size fits all. It doesn't, right?
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
What do you look forward to in the next few years? Like, where do you see yourself?
Still here.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, listen, this is just the beginning for you. So you're not going anywhere. But do you have certain goals that you would like to accomplish?
In the next few years, I intend to inspire more people. And help more people as much as possible.
Yes, be out there. You are so amazing. Like just being here next to you, the energy, I'm just like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here. Okay, now we're going to go into a Haute round of questions, which are completely random questions.
Okay.
All right, Warrior Warren, what is your guilty pleasure?
Scrolling on TikTok, I
guess. What is the one thing you look forward to at the end of a very long day?
A good meal and just resting.
Yeah, comfort.
Taking it all in.
What do you do to recharge?
I meditate.
Okay, yes, of course you do.
Of course I do.
Yeah, it's a good practice. I was going to say that or copious amount of caffeine, one of the two.
Well, yeah, caffeine, yeah. But
I was going to say, like, what's the secret potion for you? Because you're so absolutely charming. Give me some of this energy. And if it's copious amount of cappuccinos, I'll take it.
To be honest, meditation does help me recharge, but also being with people. And my friends right now, they know that if I'm not out there, right, something's up. Because even if I'm going through something and I'm really going through a hard time or I'm really physically in pain or whatever it is, as soon as I go out there, that's my recharge. And I remember my physiotherapist asked me once, he goes, what's going on with you? Have you not been socializing?
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person. It's like, that's where I get my recharge from.
I get it. I'm the same when it comes to big cities. Some people are country people. And I'm like, no, I need to be in a big metropolitan city. That's my energy. I actually don't get tired of it. Favorite word?
There are so many.
First thing that comes to mind.
I think laughter.
Laughter?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's simple.
Yeah, very simple. What about cringe-worthy word?
I can't.
Can't.
Even if somebody can't, they can find a way. Like I said before, it may not be the way that they want to be able to, but they can learn. Yeah. Right? We can always, improve. Don't tell me you can't. Right?
Beverage of choice.
Green tea.
Also healthy. What about the unhealthy ones?
I like ginger beer.
Ginger beer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your poison.
I wouldn't call it poison, but yeah, it would be that.
Okay. Favorite person and why?
I have a lot of favorite people in my life.
Okay.
And I think that it's very hard. I can't.
You can't answer.
say one favorite person, but in context, I think all my family,
Mhm.
right? And then my dog. It's not a person, but I love my dog.
Oh, come on, fur
pieces.
babies. They're people.
Fur
They're
babies.
people to us.
Okay, then yes,
See? There you
yes.
go.
It's the way that they look at you, right?
Yeah.
It's the way that they just unconditional love, and I think that my favorite person would be someone that's always there. You make the time for people.
Yeah.
Right. And you lead with love. If you say favorite actor or something like that, it's easier for me to answer that question, I think.
Yeah.
Comedians or things like
Okay, so favorite actor.
that. I always liked Vince Vaughn,
The action
Will
heroes?
Ferrell, and like comedians, right? Jonah Hill,
Yeah.
right?
That would just feel good.
Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah.
The escape, right? Like Russell Crowe. It depends on the movie too,
Yeah.
right?
Biggest fear and what you have done to overcome it.
Snakes and worms are my biggest fear, actually.
Yeah, well, for me, it's spiders. However, it is the year of the snake, and I'm a snake. Are you afraid of me? You better not be. So snakes and worms. And what have you done to overcome your fear?
I haven't.
Face one head on like this?
In science class, I actually left during lab work when they did dissect a worm. Like, I couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
I just, no, but I never actually, I don't intend to go on those TV shows either that, like they make you like, what's it called?
Fear factor? Well, this is back in the day, like fear factor and things like that.
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. But in terms of fear, yeah, public speaking, it's scary. When I get on stage, I'm not
Comfortable yet.
Yeah, it's once you start talking,
Yeah.
yes, but I still get anxious. My heart starts racing, and
I know, I hate that feeling. That same fear comes with acting. Okay, you get in front of the camera, everyone is looking at you, your heart is beating fast. I hate that feeling, and it's so hard to figure out how to overcome it. So now you being on stage, how do you partially overcome it?
I focus on the message. It's not about me. I know that the last few stage talks I gave, I was not in good shape, right? And I could see I was exhausted when I replayed it and watched it. But to overcome it is just to, just do it. I'm not saying a Nike slogan or anything, but
Yeah.
you got to say F it and just do it. Same thing. It's like making a phone call that your heart, it's, should I call them or should I not call them, right? Am I going to send that email, not send it? Just do it. Just push it. Like you said, like we may not be here tomorrow. And if it's a stage talk or you're going to be acting or whatever it is, you're inspiring another person. And why are you doing it? So check in with yourself of why are you doing what you're doing? And why are you afraid? Like, what's the worst that could possibly happen? They won't answer the phone.
Yeah.
The audience won't like you. Someone in the audience, if there's like 500 people watching a movie or watching you talk, like, going to inspire someone. And it's about that. Why are you getting on the stage? Why are you doing what you're doing? And just help to relay that. But calming yourself down with the meditations, with the breathing, it really helps. It really helps to calm you, right? As opposed to taking something external. So those are the few things that I would definitely recommend. But speaking on stage, public speaking is a fear, and it's validating. Like, it's valid to have a fear. If you have a fear, you have a fear. If you have pain, you have pain. It doesn't mean you can compare it to someone, right? So like, if I'm going through this pain that I'm going through and it's perceivable and people could see that, doesn't mean that your pain that you're feeling right now because you stubbed your toe or banged your finger or hurt your arm, it doesn't mean that it's nothing compared to what I'm going through. Just because I'm speaking on stage doesn't mean that your fear is not valid. So finding ways to overcome that or finding ways to get through that is perfectly normal, right? And once you find something that works for you, hold on to that and use it. Keep it
For
in
you,
your
it's
back
breathing.
pocket.
So after this interview, you're going to teach me some techniques because I definitely need some. There's moments where I'm just like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. But you face it. So if there's something I can do to practice, if breathing is it, I'll take it. And what is it that you do with the breathing?
Why not share it now with everybody?
Okay. Let's do it.
So let's say you're about to go into a meeting and you're about to, as soon as you start feeling anxious. And I used to do this. I even set an alarm for a month. I had an alarm going off. I'm going to try and see how often I can do this breathing technique. So the purpose of this one is to calm your vagus nerve, right?
Yeah.
And that also helps with nausea as well, because, it's triggering that. It's very simple. And basically is you breathe in through your nose and then you breathe in again, even deeper, right? And you hold it for like 4 seconds and then you let it out. And you do it again. In through the nose, hold it, and then out through the mouth. But each time when you breathe in through the nose, and then again. So you're taking more and more oxygen into here, and then you're letting it out, right? And already you're going to start feeling calmer,
Yeah,
right? You do that 4 times, twice through the nose, and then out through the mouth. Each breath in, 4 seconds, 4 seconds more, 4 seconds, hold it, 4 seconds out. And your body starts to calm, right? And then whatever thoughts or everything starts calming down, and you just start feeling better. I'm like, okay, let's make that phone call, right? Let's apply for that job. Let's get on that stage, whatever it is, right? That's just a quick breathing technique, right? It's something that helps when you're on the fly or when you're walking around, because, or in traffic, right? It's just like, it helps. And then you reframe. Then you start, reframing whatever's going on in your mind. Am I late? Am I looking good? Or whatever, asking yourself over and over again the same question. Why are you feeling that way? Why are you thinking that thought?
What advice would you give your younger self?
I tell my younger self that it's going to be okay, to hang in there. It's hard right now. There's going to be more hard times later. It's going to get a little bit worse. It's going to get a little bit rocky, but I'm here with you, and I'm going to hold your hand throughout the way.
Oh, that's powerful. Especially now, seeing where you are, like, hold on, because you don't know what's coming tomorrow, and the things that are coming your way are absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Favorite place in the world thus far?
Anywhere warm.
Especially out during the winter, yes.
If it's in a backyard in the summer in Toronto, fine. But it's like, just place where, you get the sunlight, just chill. And recently I went on a beach in Florida. I haven't traveled in like 15 years to the States for a long time. And I was afraid to go on the beach. And
why?
Because as a child, it was so hard for me to walk on it. And I didn't know that I could. And it's very painful to walk without shoes. And all of these reasons why it's going to be hard. I just tried. I had my best friend with me, and she just guided me. And she's like, okay, let's make it happen. We're going to make it happen. And we went into the ocean. And I think that's probably the latest, most favorite place right now, if I ever go back there in my mind. Because it was something that I thought I couldn't do, and I was afraid to do, and it was the best thing I've ever done recently. For someone else, it would be simple, like, oh, we love going to the beach. For me, it's like I always avoided it. I was never on my list to do. I just happened to be in that environment. I just happened to be there.
You faced your fear, another one of your fears, and you have overcome it completely.
Yeah.
Yet again, fearless warrior.
And then it's rewarding.
Yeah.
And you feel good. And then it becomes a memory, an emotion, right? You can always go back to that moment.
What's the one thing that you are letting go of in the last year?
Expectations.
And what is the one thing you look forward to in the year ahead?
There's a lot of projects and events that are coming up, and retreats, and very exciting things in the works that I feel that are really going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives, to be announced soon. And
I was going to ask if you can share it with the audience. That'd be wonderful.
There's programs, and there's books, and there's all these things that are in the works, retreats. But yeah, I think stay tuned. Follow my Instagram to see, what's coming up. There's always something new. A friend of mine was amused that every time he opens my Instagram, there's something else that's going on, right? Like not even related to whatever. And I feel that showing up in whatever way I can, wherever it is, whether it's a fashion show or I'm walking on the runway all of a sudden or whatever it is, it's just being there, being present, being there with life, and just going out there and trying different things and just meeting people. You never know. The more that we show up, someone in my situation, it's not easy to show up. And someone that is going through or dealing with a chronic illness and the different amounts of pain or whatever, it's not easy for them to go out or have that desire to push themselves to go out. The more that we show up in life, the more that we inspire others to do the same, but also that we meet people. I probably wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't show up, I didn't host an event or whatever it was that, led to one thing or another, and connect the dots and how I met this person or that person, right?
It's so crazy. You've made it through such adversity. I am actually truly honored that you have come here, have spoken to me, shared your message to the listeners and viewers. I think you're absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. You're incredibly inspiring. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So thank you so much for sharing your life story, your experiences, and your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you to our viewers and listeners. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Share the message so we can bring you more incredible guests such as Warrior Warren with incredible messages that are absolutely inspirational. Sending love and light. Until next time, stay Haute.